For the last 6 weeks, we went around Singapore. We went to Penang and back in order to look for the best prawn noodles. And we have found some amazing prawn broths and delicious noodles. But are true prawn noodles supposed to be enjoyed dry or soup? What noodles are you supposed to order? Is the regular cheaper option more indicative of their standard? Or should you go with the best prawns that are available? What really makes a good bowl of prawn noodles? Things got a little murky the deeper we dive into the dish. So today we are starting anew. We will be revisiting the top 5 places that we found with fresh new eyes and a clearer perspective. But in order to do that, I kinda need to wipe our memory of the last 5 episodes. So if you would kindly look right here, just here. Forget me beam! New series, baby! Super excited to be starting this series. In fact, I had a really long dream last night that I spent 2 months eating prawn mee. It felt really surreal. But this is not the time to be talking about dreams. We are at Loyang Way Big Prawn Noodle, and I got both their soup and dry version. Both mee fan mian. The soup goes for $6, the dry goes for $6.50. And this is quite a bit of value. Since it's the start of the series, I figure we should establish the criteria from the get-go. Both versions get 50% each. I think the best prawn noodle place should be able to do both versions well. For the dry version, the criteria is kick. I don't care if it's the seasoning, the texture, or the sum of it all. Because I believe the purpose of the dry noodles is to set up the soup. The dry noodle is the cross into the box, the prawn and the soup is the finish. For the soup noodles, my key criteria is clarity. The soup version is the purist favorite, so it boils down to how clearly can one experience the flavor of prawn. Very simple, but very difficult. My job today is to showcase, your job is to infer the one that you will like the most. Okay, enough yet, let's get into it. I think I'll do the soup version first while my palate is still clean. $6, a lot of noodles, a lot of soup, refillable soup, and 5 half Vana mee prawns. Not bad at all. What a banger start. These noodles are so good. I feel like I'm remembering memories that I shouldn't have. We start with the soup version. This is the color. I want to see this color every single time. This orange hues underlined by a thick brown broth. The brown broth has body, gives it a base for that super prawny orange hue to shine. When you scoop the top layer, the prawn flavor hits you square and center. This is why one would eat prawn noodles. And I emphasize this color because I believe this is a big challenge in prawn noodles. Go to your favorite prawn noodle store on Google Maps and then scroll down the photos. You will see that the color differs from day to day. If you look at the big names, sometimes the color is like this, but sometimes it's flat out just brown with no orange. Personally, that is something that I would like to avoid. And it's so nice that we started with this place because now this is the benchmark. I want something with 70 to 80% prawn flavor, specifically this orange layer, but just having this layer might make the soup feel too one-dimensional. So that's where the base comes in. And this base, if you look over here, there's a lot of zha. I can no longer tell what it is, but it's significantly black. There's so many black bits. I cannot really tell whether it's burnt shallots, black pepper, or something else. I can tell you that it doesn't taste burnt though. And then we move on to the dry noodles. Cake super cake The right way is to do it with the chili powder, but I would say this is quite spicy. I would love to break down the flavors for you, the shallot, the lard, the sambal, but I would be lying if I said that my palate is still that sensitive at this heat level. What I can tell you is that it's super cake. It did come a little dry to be mixed, but that is where I scooped that top layer of that soup, that prawn flavor, into the noodles, and what a difference it makes. Holy! In a previous live, I was saying something like, the dry version of the prawn noodles don't have prawn flavor. This is how you combine it. And after your palate has been spiked, has been excited, you then quench it with this soup. Whew, banger start. And an additional point, neither the soup nor the noodles are too sweet. But there's one thing I need to talk about. This is not specific to this place, but because we will be staying around this price point throughout the day, I would think that most of the prawns will be unremarkable because they can only serve Prawn Mee at this price point. And unless it's really overcooked for some reason, there's really very little to be said about texture and flavor profile. We all know what Prawn Mee tastes like. Nothing is wrong with their prawns. I'm just gonna raise this early in the video so I won't repeat myself later. If there is one miss, is that where the hell is this place, man? It's incredibly hard to get to if you're not driving. So let's get out of here. I'll see you guys at the next place. We are now at Beach Road, arguably top 3 most popular prawn mee in Singapore. I got the same thing, soup and dry. And not to jump the gun, but the thing that we said about color, the soup that you get with the dry noodles, this color is so pretty. This is what we want. But the soup with the soup noodles, it's not me, right? It's a lighter shade of brown and way less orange, especially near the fringes. We are at the same place in the same time. It doesn't make sense that this came from 2 batches of soup. Anyway, let's try the soup version. I don't know whether this is a hit or miss, but if you told me the 2 soups came from different places, are of a different price point, I will believe you. Let's frame it as a hit. This soup, the one that you get with the dry noodles, it has what I'm looking for. The 70-80% prawn top note that dominates the flavor profile, and then a 10-20% shallot porky base. Very nice. It's why one would eat prawn noodles. You chase it after a big gulp of the sauce noodles, can. But we might have started out too strong. The saucing on these noodles is way less kick than the previous place that we visited. And I don't just mean this in a blunt, spicy kind of way. It is strangely under-seasoned. The main flavor that I get from a mouthful of noodles is more like that light bitterness of chili and the fragrance of shallots. I don't particularly get sambal nor lard. Maybe it's the comparison with the last place, but personally I think it could have been heavier. We move on to the biggest miss on the table, the broth of the soup noodles. It is very strange. I don't know what is happening. Did I really just reach the last bowl of the previous batch and then the first bowl of the next batch? This brown broth is really unremarkable. It's like shallot sweet with soya sauce and the muddy flavor of prawn. It is especially highlighted in the soup version where the purists will want the pure flavor of the prawn. It is ironic that the pure flavor of the prawn is in the other bowl. I've learned in my dreams that this orange compound breaks down after cooking too much. You cannot overcook it. And if I were to be honest, I don't know how restaurants are managing this. Because I dreamt about places like Zhup Zhup, or where the orange layer is very thick, or even just in our previous place, there's a significant layer of orange, or even just using this as an example, how can the same place have 2 different broths? Because I can tell you, they taste worlds apart. I really wish I have something to say about the prawns. I really do. What a YouTuber wants most is watch time. But there's really nothing to say. Can't talk about the variant, can't talk about the cooking time. There's like minor taste differences. This one tastes like it has been soaked in salt water, such that the flavor is very thorough, but not consequential, I would say. So let's wrap it up here. I'll see you guys at the next place. We are now at Zhup Zhup at MacPherson, the most expensive prawn noodles we're gonna have today. Perhaps for good reason, a reason that I don't know, because it writes there, over 20 hours of boiling daily. They even give you the recipe, 18 kg of prawn heads, 30 kg of pork bones, 100 liters of soup. But it is my understanding that you cannot overboil prawn broth. If not, the orange compounds for the tamale will break down and dissolve into the soup. And yet, they have the most outrageous layer of orange. What am I looking at? And I know, Zhup Zhup features the Penang version. And in the Penang version, they add the sambal directly into the prawn broth to give it a brighter color. But this is definitely not it. You can actually see the compound separating, almost congealing. This is not chili oil. I'm pumped, man. Let's start with the soup version. Although it's pretty obvious that the soup in the soup version is different from this soup. I mean, what can be similar to this soup? So, let's begin. Oh, yo. I don't know what they put in the prawn noodles, but it's spiked with something. Eldrick normally won't say the things that he's about to say. I think the best Penang prawn noodles is in Singapore. Eldrick, you say this because you're Singaporean, right? No! And you all on this channel know this. If I show you guys my IC, you all will see that my nationality is foodie. The prawn flavor is the clearest. It's the strongest. The first gulp of the soup, there is no doubt. There's no like, this is pork, this is shallot. It's only prawn. Very pleasantly prawn. And look at it yourself. You know I'm not lying. And then we move on to the prawn. Yes, again, typical prawns. A little overcooked, but I like this serving style. It is surprisingly rare to find full prawns. Not only that, with their head intact. So like you all saw, you do the Zhup Zhup, you get another spike of flavor with the already very flavorful prawn soup. And clay pot. It's not just aesthetic, this really keeps the soup hot. This is proper clay pots. But then, we move on to the misses. There is no soup version. There's only the dry version and the Zhup Zhup version. It is a stretch to call this a soup. I mean, if I just pull the noodles aside, calling this soup version will be like calling me rich. And I'm not sure how you guys will take it, but if you close your eyes, AAO, it actually tastes like satay bihun. I am positive there's some sort of peanut or what, sesame in it. That with the crunch of the kangkong, really satay bihun. A nice satay bihun. The dry version is pretty typical. But then to the biggest miss, it is Penang style. That means that the soup comes with that cloying sweetness. Today's sweetness is actually lower than the one I had in my dreams, but it is still sweet. It is sweet to the point, just before it gets unpleasantly sweet. It is still rather balanced. But for my personal palate, I definitely like to lean full savory. Penang nights, I really want you guys to come here and try this. I don't say this casually. I really think that you'll enjoy this. Because if my palate likes the sweetness, we can call the video right here. Don't need to go to the next two spots already. But alas, there's more prawn mee to eat, so I'll see you guys at the next stop. We are now at Tatong Prawn Noodles. Made it just before the bell. I started queuing at 10:30. Got my food at 11:10. And just 5 persons behind me, they stopped the queue. I got the same thing, this time at $8 a pop. And a really interesting observations. For the dry one, they use chili flakes instead of the orange chili powder. Not just the first time, but the only time I've seen this. And then the soup noodles, we see the same thing at Beach Road. The soup for the soup noodles and the soup for the dry noodles is different. I didn't really see what went on behind there, but is it an interaction with the noodle? Okay, never mind. Too much talking. Let's try. The reason why I wanted to visit this place for the first time again is because of the broth. This is the only soup in the whole series that in a blind taste test, I'll get it right 100 out of 100 times. It has such a unique taste going. You can see this. On the bottom, it's light brown yet thick. It's not like one of those light brown shallow tasting soups. They layer on top, the orange part, that is only for the dry noodles and I'll get to that later. It's very unique. This funk, I have to guess, is a different kind of prawn. It has this briny, almost alcoholic taste to it. Normally in the previous places, even if they offer refill, I'm not too interested. But here, I really want another bowl. I hate that I cannot comprehend the taste. It's up to preferences like always, but the uniqueness is hard to dispute. And then next, I'm gonna contradict myself. While it is a normal prawn, this is the best cooked prawn so far today. Really nice and crunchy, cooked very simply, the pure flavor of prawn still present and not lost to the broth. I'll be so tempted to claim that this is hai xia, a wild-caught prawns, if I had not done the blind taste test, where I found out that Prawn Mee, if you cook it well, can be quite awesome as well. But no matter how good Prawn Mee is, there is no shot this broth is powered by Prawn Mee. But then, there are still misses. There is something I don't know, right? The soup version's broth is way less impact. It has none of the funk. And it cannot be that this happens with Beach Road and Da Dong. So I have to imagine it has something to do with the noodles being in there. Perhaps they wiped the top layer when it was cooked together. Perhaps the extra heat caused it to break down. Unlikely. I don't know. But I do know that it tastes very different. I mean, you know that it tastes different. Look at this. And then another miss. I would not recommend the dry version. It is very light. It's as though you are staying over at a friend's house and then like, hey, you hungry ah? And then they just whip up something. I get very light shallot garlic oil, and because I added the chili flakes on top, it has a very overt flavor of the chili skin. So it's a bit awkward, like, what do I recommend here? The best thing here is the soup of the dry version. And I'm not sure how you want to get there. One extra comment, they are very nice here. I think if this place closes to the public, only serves regulars, they'll still survive. Alright, great meal. Let's wrap it up here. I'll see you guys at the next place. We are now at Blanco Court. This place is related to Beach Road from earlier. You can see that their styles are similar. More specifically, their version of the mee fen mian is 粗米粉 and mian, or thick rice bee hoon with yellow noodles. I didn't mention it just now, but I don't quite like this combination. Not for prawn noodles. I think the thin bee hoon makes way more sense. Most places have both, if not even more versions. So a soup version buys us 6 half prawns at $7. Decent value. This time the difference between the soup version soup and the dry version soup is not that much. Although if I look closer, the dry version soup still looks a little better. Anyway. I don't understand. First of all, I know that this is quite late in the video, but Happy New Year everyone. Let's start the new year by offending some people. I think the soup version is the wrong way to eat prawn noodles. Either that or the 3 places that we visited today, Beach Road, Da Dong and Blanco Court, they are doing something wrong with the soup noodles. The soup from the dry version tastes much better. I don't know if it's the soup problem or my problem. My problem meaning that there are too many competing elements such that the top note of the prawn flavor is not as obvious. When you have it as is, the prawn flavor is allowed all the space to express itself. Based on a sample size of 3, this is what I want to conclude, because it's too much of a coincidence for all 3 of them to be doing the same thing. If you all can help my sample size, if you all do go and eat prawn noodles, compare the dry and the soup version and send me the photos on IG. It's too coincident already. And the difference in the broth is so much that I don't think I'm hallucinating. But other than that, I want to say something very I feel like this would have been the average standard 20 years ago. This is the flavor profile that is most familiar to me. It really feels more like nostalgia than deliciousness. Cause while I like it, if I were to talk about the individual components, I don't feel like anything particularly stands out. Not the prawn, not the noodles, not even the soup. And yet there's a certain value to be able to recreate a traditional taste at a good price point. That's all I wanted to say. We have talked about all things Prawn Mee today, and now it's time for me to go back and consolidate and decide on the awards. It will take 1 week for me, but you will know the result just about now. I want to give out 3 awards today. Best Dry Version, Best Soup, and Best Prawn Noodles, which is the place that scored the highest across both bowls. And the best dry noodles I had today are from Loyang Way Big Prawn Noodle. Super tasty and heavy, it sets up the prawn soup to quench all that flavor in the best way. I think a close second might be the Zhup Zhup version from Zhup Zhup. That peanutty sauce was a great contrast from the heavy crustacean flavors. But if they call it the soup version, then I can't qualify it for this category. Speaking of soup version, based on what I tasted today, I believe adding the noodles takes away from the quality of the broth. So instead I will judge the broth on its own, the one that you get with the dry version, rather than the one with the noodles. And the best bowl of soup I had today came from Dadong Prawn Noodles. I've drank 100 different soups in my life, but none of them taste like Dadong's prawn broth. I have to suspect it's because of the prawn variant they are using. When the orange layer is kept intact, the level of sophistication is the highest amongst the ones that I had in this video. And before we head into the final award, the best prawn noodles, I want to give an honorable mention to Zhup Zhup. If my ancestors chose to settle down in Penang instead of Batu Pahat, today's video will be a sweep for Zhup Zhup. Their quality is the highest amongst all of the bowls that I had today. That ridiculous layer of orange kept hot by the clay pot is something that you should make a trip for. But that Penang sweetness is a deal breaker for me. It is made especially obvious by the 4 other prawn noodles in this video where there was almost no perceptible sweetness. I favor a full savory profile. A reminder, my job today is to showcase, and your job is to find the one that you like. That said, the prawn noodles that best fulfill my criteria today is Loyang Way Big Prawn Noodles. The dry noodles are bordering on the line of being over-seasoned, which makes chasing it with the soup that much more satisfying. The soup version is the only bowl today that, despite having the noodles and soup in the same bowl, does not punish the quality of the soup. The flavor of prawn is still very clear and present. If I had to take someone to try prawn noodles, without knowing whether they'll like the dry or the soup version, I'll take them to Loyang. And that's all I have for you guys this series. I hope you enjoyed this video. To start off the new year, I'm experimenting with this new format, a 1 episode special, because I can only do 4 full series each year, and there are lesser known dishes that I want to feature, like mee jiang kueh, popiah, or curry puffs. I want to try making those videos this year, so let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. Don't worry, dishes like chicken rice will still receive a full series. We are finally doing chicken rice, and it is going to be a big one. Please let me know your favorite chicken rice spots all over the world. Leave it in the comments, IG, DM me, track me down on the streets to tell me. I really need your help on this. There are so many chicken rice spots. I need to know which one to go and which one to avoid. As usual, the top mentioned ones are going to be the places featured. But for now, that's all I have for you guys this time. Happy New Year, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Yeah.